get a lot of information over the internet and you think, yes, I'll do that, I'll do this. And then you start feeling worse and you think, oh, well, that hasn't worked for me. You know, that's just baloney. It might just not work for you. So it's really listening to your body and finding out what foods work and what foods don't.
Welcome to Get Pregnant Naturally, where functional medicine and natural fertility solutions will help you get pregnant and have your baby. Hey everybody, I'm Sarah Clark, and my mission is to inspire, motivate, and empower you. Most of all, I want you to wake up. So with functional medicine, we can discover what causes infertility and eventually reverse this condition. So today I'm excited to welcome Monica Cox to the podcast. Today we're digging into the autoimmune protocol and how it can help you improve your fertility. So I recently connected with Monica, and I love the fact that she's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, and she looks at the underlying cause of disease and illness. I'll just share her bio with you. So Monica is a stay-at-home mom who puts in hours around her little ones. She focuses on women's fertility health, including IUI and IVF support. And as I mentioned before, she's a qualified functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, which means she's here to help identify and eliminate the underlying causes of your health issues and not just treat the symptoms. So her 9-year journey with infertility has taught her that life is about the right now and not counting down the year and 2-week increments. I love that. So Monica went through 2 IVFs and 3 frozen embryo transfers, which resulted in 1 beautiful baby boy. 4 years into her journey, she decided to make some dramatic diet and lifestyle changes to improve her fertility health. 2 months after all medical treatment was done and dusted, she found out the hard work had paid off and she was pregnant naturally for the first time ever. And her baby boy, number 2, is coming any day now. So we're recording this in March, but he is due in March. And she also blogs about all things infertility, fertility at Fertility Health Coaching. So fertilityhealthcoaching.com. And she's the co-creator of Baby and Me. So it's a 3-year fertility mindfulness journey over at mymindfulme.com. So welcome to the podcast, Monica.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Awesome. So glad you're here. Yeah, just share a little more about your journey with us and how you came to do this work.
Okay, well, I'll put it in a nutshell because as you said, it was 9 years. So the first 3 years was just absolutely nothing, no pregnancies, not even a whiff of anything. Doctors couldn't find anything wrong with me. I had some little kind of niggles like ovarian cysts, IBS, nothing screaming alarm bells. So I was sent to do IVF round. And it was a complete shambles. It resulted in no healthy embryos, and we obviously got a negative pregnancy test from that. After that, a good friend of ours was going through his own health journey and just recommended that we hook up with a functional medicine practitioner. And I suppose at that point, I was willing to try anything. So we took a year actually to improve our health through diet and, just mindfulness, maybe some more taking it easy, not overstressing. But we basically went on a paleo diet. So after a year, our second IVF was much more successful. We changed clinics. We obviously had the improved diet. My husband actually joined me on the diet as well.
Wonderful.
And I still we got 5 very healthy eggs or embryos, and I still got negative tests. I actually didn't even make it to 28 days that cycle. So we had to dig harder. And at the time, the immune, high NK cells was still very controversial. I think it still is. But a few years ago...
Natural killer cells, yeah.
Yes, the natural killer cells. So we did the Chicago testing and found out I had high NK cells. So I wasn't a candidate to really have these cells. I wasn't your typical reoccurring miscarriages. So it was a little bit of a surprise to the clinic. So we did a round with the frozen embryos, and it was the first time I ever got pregnant. I did use immune suppressing drugs to support this treatment, but unfortunately it did end in an early miscarriage. But after about 5.5 years, it gave us hope. We at least had our answer, and I got pregnant.
Ah.
So we went even deeper with what we can do to improve situations. And I discovered AIP, the Autoimmune Protocol diet. So I started that. We took another 8 months off to just give ourselves the best chance. And that's when our son was created, our firstborn.
Oh.
So that was all very exciting. And I stuck to that diet really strictly, more so for just the fear that I was going to lose the pregnancy. So I had 9 months pregnant on the diet, and then probably took another year before we decided to do our last frozen embryo transfer, which was another successful pregnancy test, but unfortunately another miscarriage, early miscarriage. So that was us done and dusted. We felt that the medical side was done. It had been a very long road for us. And I truly believed in my heart and believed in diet and nutrition that I could reverse my high NK cells. Mm-hmm. 2 months later, I was pregnant naturally for the first time in 8.5 years.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So some people would kind of put it down to a coincidence, or, I have a lot of comments saying, oh, you just relaxed, you weren't stressed out anymore. Or I get a lot of, it's a miracle, which all three contribute to it. But from my experience, my knowledge, what I've learned, what I've studied, it just comes down to finding and eliminating the foods that were causing that damage to my body. Yeah. So that is my story. And yes, I am 8 days away from my due date and pretty excited.
And looking fabulous, by the way. Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's a long journey, obviously a successful journey for you, but making a lot of changes and really digging, finding functional medicine is the first part, which so many people don't even find it, and then studying it and then listening to what your body's saying, going deeper and deeper after so many heartaches along the way. And can you just dig back into that natural killer cells for us, sort of explain exactly what that is?
So basically, your body everyone has natural killer cells. That's how you help get over sickness. But when your body is inflamed, and inflammatory issues can happen in many different ways, not just through food, but environmental toxins, they just ramp up. So they are just increasingly overacting and just start attacking your body. And this happens in many different ways. And so there's no kind of clear cut of how your NK cells are going to overreact. For me, the only symptom I had was not getting pregnant. So my body was attacking the embryos and not letting them survive, because obviously they're a foreign agent, but through evolution, it's your body accepts that one is kind of a foreign agent, but it's a good foreign agent, where mine was, no go. Not even early stages of implantation. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was our kind of unexplained fertility issue, which I think a lot of women are maybe finding out that they have the same issue as well.
Yeah, and to me, unexplained, when using the tools of functional medicine, there's always a reason.
Exactly. That was my thing. In my heart, I just didn't accept that there wasn't an explanation. I know that there is a small percentage of women out there that won't ever get an explanation. And I don't know if that's because they haven't found the right person who can find it, or there really was no stone left unturned and they couldn't pinpoint it down. But I think for a large majority of us, there is an explanation. We just have to find it.
That's right. Amazing. Okay. So so you use we're going to discuss on this podcast, the autoimmune protocol, and really, you used it there to help yourself get pregnant. What exactly is the autoimmune protocol?
So it's just a very nutrient dense diet. It just focuses on really healing foods, foods that are rich in minerals and all the things that your body actually needs to strive and thrive. For some of us, through the generations, our genes have just kind of been whacked and whacked and whacked. So we just have to focus on a diet that promotes the healing and the growth. And that's kind of where the difference is for a lot of us dealing with infertility and having to cut out so many, delicious and fun things to eat, and watching our friends and family get pregnant while they can drink alcohol or
That's right.
eat pizza is just finding out, okay, what do I need? And so the autoimmune protocol is just one of the best diets I found that, in a good way and in a bad way, just eliminates anything that can be inflammatory.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, kind of what are some of the things that you're eliminating, and then what are the things that you're consuming?
Okay, so it goes a step from above the paleo. So obviously you have your gluten, your grains, your legumes, your dairies, your sugar, all your processed food is gone. But you put on top of that nuts, seeds, nightshades, which when when most people hear the word nightshades, they kind of just look at you like you're talking on a different planet. But it's a group of foods that include tomato, aubergine, peppers, jalapenos. There's lots of spices that are involved in it as well. And eggs, especially the egg whites. So when I discovered that I did have an immune issue, it was really hard. I mean, to be honest, it was one of the hardest things I had to do to cut out these nightshades. Because if you think about it, they are healthy foods. And for most of the population, they should be eating them. But for me and for anyone who is dealing with the autoimmune issue, it's best to cut them out. And I have found too that there are some things on the AIP diet that I'm actually okay with. But so my two nemesis of all things is paprika and tomatoes. But I do well on eggs, and I eat nuts and seeds, not loads of them, but I can. But the moment I have a large quantity, so let's say, a helping of salsa, if I eat chips and salsa, that's it. I can tell that my body is like, no, we don't like that.
Yeah. So these sort of things affect everyone differently. So what happens with you? Is it digestive? Is it joints, or what happens?
It's digestive. Yeah.
It's digestive for you.
Okay. Yeah. No, let's not get all the way into that.
Yeah, we don't want to be there, but no, it's a thing.
Yeah,
a lot of people struggle with it.
And it's not an obvious digestive. I'm not on the ground rolling around in pain. It took me a really long time to notice the symptoms and notice, okay, I have had a reaction. And for me, it's not instant. It will be 2 days later. Right. So you really have to be really in tune with your body and kind of know, all right, that's not normal. I shouldn't be doing that. Unfortunately, a lot of people think diarrhea or constipation or IBS is normal. And, let's say, I would even say 7 out of 10 people walking around have an issue like that and just don't link it at all to overall health and then to your fertility health as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when you're limiting your diet this way, you obviously want to put in some other stuff. And I like to call them my old-fashioned foods. Okay, yeah. Because we don't, as a society, really use them like our grandparents did. So these are your organ meats, your broth, which is commonly called as bone broth. And then you have your probiotic foods, which are your fermented foods, sauerkraut. I know kombucha is, the cool thing now. Mm-hmm. And these are all incredibly healing foods, but we just don't have them in our diet. I mean, I could probably say I've never eaten any of those foods. Okay, maybe my aunt slipped me liver one time and told me it was a steak.
Back in the day, yeah.
When I was a kid, but it wasn't something we grew up on the dinner table with. So it's just reintroducing foods that were just really common to, I don't even like to use the word ancestors because I feel we bring that back to like caveman days. Our great-grandparents, our grandparents used to eat this stuff, and it was just a common thing. But these foods are just so rich in nutrients and just give you the healing power that is beyond, any kind of drug that someone can give you. And you just have to get them in your life, even if it's just for a small time, even if you're just like, right, I'm only going to do this to fix my fertility. And after I have kids, then that's it. I don't want them anymore. But if you want to get there quicker, yeah, you have to get those foods in your life. And you have to find out what works for you too, because not bone broth works for everyone. So some people may need to, so I'm just trying to think of what the other broth is called. You can do a vegetable broth and a GAPS, I think it is. So it doesn't have as many antihistamines in the broth.
Yeah, because some people have a detox reaction when they do the bone broth. Because if their liver's not supported, they can then have this negative reaction with,
Yep. And then also fermented foods don't work for everyone either.
That's right.
So you get a lot of information over the internet and you think, yes, I'll do that. I'll do this. And then you start feeling worse and you think, oh, well, that hasn't worked for me. That's just baloney. It might just not work for you. So it's really listening to your body and finding out what foods work and what foods don't. So trying to be open with either a paleo or AIP diet, but play within those restrictions, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. We recommend a personalized diet based on testing and then going further. But, if someone's dealing with autoimmune issues, so if you're, dealing with, Hashimoto's or Graves or diabetes type 1, lupus, MS, or there's a whole host of autoimmune issues, and the natural killer cells are, I guess that's considered an immune issue. Is it? Am I right on that? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's why the AIP. And let me just kind of backtrack a little bit on this. So basically it's taking the paleo, taking it one step further. So paleo, you're, dairy-free, gluten-free, grain-free, processed sugar, and legumes. Do you do legumes on paleo? Now I'm getting that mixed up.
Some people do, some people don't.
Yeah.
I think that's one of those gray areas.
Right. Okay.
I know a lot of the groups that I'm part of on the Facebook, your private groups, someone will ask something in regards to legumes and you get half the people going, that's not paleo. And then the other half saying, it's fine.
That's why the personalized thing, right? What's going to feel right for you. And then,
exactly.
And then with the autoimmune, you're taking it a step further. So the nut seeds, nightshades, you said aubergine. I think that's an eggplant, right?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
You're from the US, but she's now living in the UK, and now she's turned got all the British sayings. And I'm like, wait a minute, I think that's an eggplant. But yeah, the tomatoes, the eggplant, pepper, jalapenos, and the egg whites. Can you talk a little bit about the egg whites? Because that's an important one where that's kind of one of the top allergens with eggs. And people for the fertility diet kind of think, and for fertility, seemingly eggs would be good, but so many people have an intolerance to the whites.
To the whites, yeah. You know what? I can't off the top of my head describe exactly what's in the whites of the egg.
That's fine. Yeah.
I know they're two very different components of the egg. I mean, obviously you can tell by the color and the consistency that they're going to be made up two different things. And why I was pregnant with our first son, I actually would poach an egg and cut away all the whites and just eat a pretty raw yolk. So yeah, sorry. That's
that's fine. Yeah, just get the
brain.
No, it's called, yeah. So it's like the whites are kind of, I guess that's kind of the part they use in vaccines, which people can have an intolerance to. And it's sort of just for people to be aware of that's why when we do the elimination diet and do the food sensitivity testing and then do an elimination diet, which takes out dairy, gluten, corn, eggs, soy, and peanuts, it's to take it out and see how you feel.
Yes.
And as for you, you feel fine except for the whites. Okay. And then, so
Yeah,
then,
exactly. And I'll just say a little bit something on the kind of ironic thing about that is when you get treated through a clinic for high NK cells, they actually use a medicine called an interlipid drip.
Mhm.
And that interlipid drip is actually made with egg white and
Oh.
soy.
Oh my goodness.
So so I used it 3 times through the protocol, and I knew that I wasn't allergic, and I knew I didn't have any major reactions to those 2 things. So I was fine taking it. But in the back of my head, especially the last time I did it, I just thought, I can't believe I'm taking this stuff.
Mm.
This is,
Yeah.
something that is highly reactive for a lot of people who would be using it. And it's a very controversial drug anyways. There's not really that much research to say that it completely supports suppressing an overactive immune system. But when you are going through a clinic, even if you have the best knowledge in the world, or more knowledge than you had, let's say, when you started your fertility journey, you still tend to just go with what they say.
Mhm. Yeah. It takes guts to listen to your own body and to really actively, it's like educate. And that's why we're doing this podcast, to educate people to do what's right for them, and to not, when you sort of have that board of directors, which I've talked about before, and having all your different healers around the table, but you're in charge, and being able to listen to people, what other people are saying, but see what's right for you, and then, and really dig into this stuff. Because I know when I was going through infertility, I just blindly believed what other people were saying, and I didn't question anything. It's just to, educate yourself and make informed decisions that are right for you. Okay. And then, with the AIP, then the foods that we're eating, so organ meats, yeah, bone broth. There's I think Paleo Valley has an organ meat, like a little powder that you can use. So you can check that out, Paleo Valley. And then, yeah, fermented food, sauerkraut, kombucha. But yeah, if you have a fungal overgrowth or histamine issues, the fermented foods, not necessarily a good option. What other foods are you having? Obviously, yeah, because there's quite a huge list of things. I recommend people to look at Paleo Mom. That's
Yes,
a resource.
100%. She was my go-to when
Okay.
I was researching all this stuff.
Okay.
I mean, obviously she's a doctor, so I trusted her. And sometimes she's a little bit too scientific for me,
Mhm.
but she just knows her stuff. She's lived it as well, which I think is key. So she understands what you're going through. So yeah, anything on the paleomom.com is where I got most of my information before I started studying. And to be honest, when I interact with people on social media and they ask where's the best resources, I just send them to her.
Nice. Yeah. So it'll have the list there of the different foods.
Yeah, it will have the list, and it gives you the whys as well. So if you do want to know why, and she will have exactly why not egg whites on her
Mhm.
site. So yeah, it's great. It kind of her article on why 1 glass of red wine is bad helped me stop drinking. It was my last nemesis, and you just have in your head, one is fine, one is fine. And yeah, once I read that article, and this is before I got pregnant with my son, I just went, okay, that's it. No more, no more until, I'm sorted and I want to be where I am in life. And I'm okay having 1 glass, knowing that it's going to have that effect.
Is it kind of more of a because we all usually recommend, if you're obviously you're trying to conceive, we don't recommend alcohol, but if you were to do something, it would be organic. But if you have a histamine issue, is that kind of what you found in there, or what did she talk about with the wine? If you
Yeah, it was just more of a very scientific way of saying that even 1 glass can affect you. So I didn't know if it was affecting me. I wasn't doing any major testing, or obviously infertility is very expensive. We funded everything ourselves. And then especially if you are seeing a functional medicine practitioner on top of that, and you're doing all the right things by buying organic and your vitamins and all that, it's a very expensive time.
Mhm.
So I just got into my head, okay, there is a scientific reason that it can possibly be affecting me. So therefore I'm not going to do it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it
not. I know.
was It sounds simple, but fertility issues obviously are all linked to your mental health. And especially when you bring food into things, you have such an emotional attachment that you don't even realize you have until you have to
Pleasure.
start. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my last emotional attachment was to red wine, and I gave it up, which was huge for me. So
And here you are
so yeah.
having your baby about to be born. So
Yeah, exactly.
Beautiful. Okay. So, and as we talked about the auto, did you want to dig in a little bit of why, if you have an autoimmune issue, why this would be be the go-to diet?
Yeah, I mean, just like we said before, it's such a nutrient dense diet. And then obviously you're going to be adding in all the supportive foods, the probiotic fermented foods and the organ meats. It's just, I feel it's the quickest way to get results. And, this is all going to be dependent on, your genetics. But if you've tried everything with your fertility clinic and you've done paleo or the Whole30 and you just haven't reached your goal, but you know in your heart that you can, it's the simplest way without testing, no testing for your food allergies, because a food allergy test to get a proper one done is quite expensive. It's just an easy way to eliminate anything that is questionable. And it's the hardest. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's very hard. But if you're determined to have a family and you feel like you're ready to take the next step, it's just the best way to do it. Especially, I mean, because I wasn't ever really diagnosed with the autoimmune issue. I had a test and someone said, oh, you have NK cells, they're high, that could be an issue. Where I see a lot of women on social media saying, oh, I have thyroid issues, Hashimoto's, or I have skin issues, or, some of the bigger autoimmune issues, and then still put unexplained infertility. And it just really baffles me that doctors and fertility experts aren't making that link.
I know, it's like leaving the other issue and then just treating the infertility when there's like someone who's got, psoriasis or some other things going on where, wait a minute, it's all interconnected.
Exactly. And I think that's a big issue in our society is we're not taught that our body works as one. For some reason, we've been taught, oh, you have a stomach issue, here's Pepto-Bismol, or your thyroid issue, you just hone in on that thing. And it all works together. And I'm not saying people can't get pregnant naturally with these issues. You see it all the time. But genetically, if you do have an issue and you're having infertility issues, it's probably likely they're linked and you need to fix the more obvious issue. And hopefully it will correct the infertility part.
Right. And the people that are coming to us, people that are listening to this podcast are the ones that they may have tried years of failed IVFs or IUIs and things haven't worked. Well, that's why you're here trying to dig deeper and educate yourself. And we talked about the body being connected and it's sort of, or everything in the body connected. And it's like they have different specialties, like a GI doctor, a dermatologist, all these different endocrinologists, all these different specialties. Well, wait a minute, where's the one person putting it all together?
Yeah, exactly.
So segmented.
Yeah, definitely. And I have the utmost respect for doctors and, people who specialize in their field. And you can understand why they don't connect it because there's so much to learn. And it's from what I've read, they get about 2 weeks of nutrition thrown into that. And it's hard for me to walk into a doctor's office and see a very overweight doctor. I just kind of question, well, what are you going to say for me? And most of the time their answer is, here's a drug. So yeah, I don't really go to the doctors that often. Luckily with this lifestyle, you don't need to.
You don't need to.
It's true. Yeah. So
I know it's like, use medicine as, what's the quote with Hippocrates? The one, use medicine, heal thyself. I probably messed that one up. It's really, and doctors are starting to move towards functional medicine because they're putting down their prescription pads and really looking to be able to heal their patients rather than just manage disease.
Yeah, definitely. There's a huge shift going on, and I'm really excited to be part of it because when I started my journey, it was out there, but it was very underground. And yeah, I'm just really excited to see people catching on because I mean, I spent 5 years of my life thinking I wasn't ever going to get pregnant. And I don't want that for anyone. I mean, it's a hard pill to swallow, at least I know it sounds awful, but if you have an issue, at least you can focus on that issue and, strive to fix it. Where when people are just sitting there going, nope, nothing's wrong with you. It's kind of like, well, where do you go with that one?
Disempowering. Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So for the AIP, so how long, you stayed on it for a while, but do you have any recommendations for how long to stay on it for? Or because you said you can fast track results. Like what do you sort of see?
Yeah, I mean, I have a really pathetic answer that no one likes is I don't know. Everyone's genes are completely different. It depends on how deep your issue goes, how many issues you're having. Obviously, the publishers love you to say 6 to 8 weeks, 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix anything. And then obviously for 3 months for optimal egg and sperm quality is key. For me, I don't know how long it took. I didn't actually, just due to various circumstances, try to get pregnant naturally until I got my first pregnancy test naturally positive. So I was on the diet for at least a year and a half and very strict with it as well up until my last miscarriage. And then I gave myself 2 months of a little bit of freedom. But yeah, for everyone, it's going to be different. And I think that's what's so disheartening to people is they're told this timeline that, oh, I did 3 months of it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately for you, you're going to be the person that it might take 6 months. It might take a year. It might take 2 years. No one can tell you how long it's going to take your body to recover. You just have to believe in your heart that it's working. And I think within 6 to 8 weeks, you will notice improvements. For me, I notice improvements when I cut out the nightshades within 2 weeks.
Mm.
But I was already on a paleo diet for a year and a bit before that. So it's very different for everyone.
Yeah, that's why it's important to work with a practitioner as well, because sometimes people come to me and they're like, I've tried everything, nothing's worked. And they're almost like throwing their hands up going, this stuff is hooey. But yeah, it's almost like that thing where there's the little guy with the pickaxe and he's down in the coal mine. He's chipping away, and he turns around just before the gold is on the other side. Like you could be so close.
Exactly. Yeah, you definitely need a support system around you or even like glimmers of hope. So like I said, getting that first positive pregnancy test with the first embryo transfer, I've written about it on my blog. If I didn't get that, I just don't know if I would have had any hope or anything left to drive me. So yeah, getting that positive, and even though I was sad about the miscarriage, I was like, right, I can do this. I can get pregnant. What else is out there?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's really important just to keep going. And at the time, it does feel like a struggle. It sucks to be the one. I mean, we spent years bringing our own food to people's houses, like when we went and stayed, because we eat vegetables for breakfast, and we weren't drinking dairy, and we brought like lunches, and I mean, it's hard being the odd man out, but you have to put your priorities. And, I remember having a conversation with a girlfriend who was dealing with infertility, and she liked a good drink like I did. And I said to her, the question I started putting to myself was, what's more important, a night out or a baby? And when you start putting life into perspective like that, it's quite easy to get over those hurdles of being the sober one or being the weird one who doesn't have the burger with the bun, or just saying, I can't eat that. I'm just off that stuff at the moment. And then once you achieve your goals and your dreams, then you can reevaluate and say, okay, I'll lax up. I don't need to be as strict, or let's see if I can reintroduce those foods and take it from there.
And it might even be that everyone else has got it wrong. Like we think that, the standard Western diet, where has that got us?
Well, exactly.
And
I think
to
that's a
flip it
whole nother
around, that's a whole other
conversation.
topic, but it's like that ripple effect of people around you, and people get kind of angry, or they're like, what are you doing? Because it's almost like, ooh, well, maybe she or he is on the right track, but I don't want to. It seems like they're suffering. And really eating this way, I'm gluten-free, dairy-free, and corn-free. There's no suffering. Like I look back at the food I used to eat, all this brown, ugly looking food. Now I'm just eating wonderful, organic, delicious food. I feel great. And like every meal, I don't know, it's easy to prepare, but every meal I get so excited when I eat it because it's so good.
Yeah, exactly. And it is funny about that mindset. I'll never forget when I started to improve my breakfast. So I love cereal. Like I still love cereal. A special treat for me is a gluten-free box of cereal, and toast. And so obviously those two things had to go. And I remember sitting at the breakfast table, and I was pissed off that I had to eat this like organic steak with fresh or like cooked spinach and a poached egg. And I just started laughing at myself, like, are you kidding me? You're mad.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, you just like we said before, the emotions tied with food and the social aspect of it is a big hurdle to overcome.
Mm-hmm. It's just knowing, your priorities and where you are right now in your life and what's going to feel good for you, and surrounding yourself with with like-minded people to know that you're on the right track. Because you could feel like just this solitary person out there where no, there's, as I say, there's a grassroots movement of people making major changes with, with their diet and lifestyle and getting pregnant naturally. So yeah, there's ways. So just another couple of questions on, so what's your take on fruits and the autoimmune protocol?
Yeah, I mean, fruits for me, I actually stopped eating fruit because that was kind of one of my issues. When I went paleo and I, cut out all the processed stuff, or I did a food diary, and the functional medicine practitioner went, "You're having too much fruit." It's like, what? And I actually I had the sugar detox where I had headaches for 2 weeks, but I didn't think I was having that much sugar. I didn't eat candy bars. I didn't do processed sugar. That just wasn't my nemesis. So yeah, I mean, at that point, I kind of cut out fruit. I didn't buy it at home. I would maybe have a piece here or there out and about, or, on holiday. But it's my big thing when I talk to moms, actually. So if they're asking me about nutrition, because they see my son and the way he eats, and they're like, "Oh, well, why don't you just give him a banana?" And I was like, he can have a banana every once in a while, but it's not going to be an everyday thing, and especially for breakfast, because the sugar content in it, they say about 20 grams of sugar is optimal a day, but a large apple is 23 grams of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
A banana is 17 grams, an orange is 23 grams, a handful of grapes is 20 grams. And then one of those berry protein smoothies that you can buy, that's only 360 mils, is 33 grams of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So it all adds up in my eyes. And especially if you're having insulin resistance, polycystic ovary syndrome, or a lot of, autoimmune diseases are linked to that, fruit is going to be an issue for you. And I know a lot of people say use fruit as a substitute when you're having sugar cravings, but it's just not going to help your cravings. So I would say stay away from fruit in the sense of don't put it in your home. So if you want to have a piece here or there, that's fine. I mean, obviously fruit has some great nutrients in it. But I always try to say to people, going back to our ancestors, even our great grandparents, they didn't have access to fruit like we did. You couldn't walk into a grocery store and buy 20 different fruits year round. So I think that's the issue with fruit. It gets this, oh, it's really healthy for you, which it is in the correct proportions.
Yeah, again, it's that personalized approach, right? Some people can eat as much fruit as they want. Other people, if they have insulin resistance or things are going on or too much sugar, then yeah, you may want to cut back on that. So it's
Cut back.
yeah, to
Yeah.
see what's going to be right for you.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. But I mean, if we're talking about if you're having fertility issues, insulin resistant, hormone balance is going to be kind of a thing for you. And yeah, just don't get sucked into the fruit is good for you kind of vibe. You got to remind yourself that it's good, and because there's so much sugar in it.
Yeah, play with it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I even notice now, I mean, I've brought fruit into the house for my son so he can have some here and there. And I find that my sugar cravings are a lot higher than they used to be when I didn't have fruit in the house. So it's really interesting, to see how your body reacts. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on it. Don't rely on them. Don't think they're a quick, easy snack, but see how your body feels on them.
Absolutely. Okay, so and as far as any kind of lifestyle changes with the AIP, anything you can want to recommend there?
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, all your obvious your obvious ones that are, sleep is underrated, and I know it's really hard to do for a lot of people, but yeah, really important. That's your body's time to detox and regenerate. Going non-toxin with your cleaning stuff and your plastics and all that, and then the great old meditation, becoming a hippie and sitting on a cushion.
Did that this
and
morning.
yep, and trying to get over that. I mean, meditation for me was a big hurdle. It's the slowing down. I'm very type A. My brain's always going. I always want to be doing something. So it's just taking that time and readjusting and reevaluating. I read a great book called 10% Happier. It's the true story about I think he was the Good Morning America news anchor that had like a complete freak out on live TV. Yeah, he just really put home, okay, meditating and slowing down and being grateful doesn't mean you're not achieving, you're not, reaching goals. And then just finding the joy in the right now. I think I feel like I lost a lot of years, especially in the early years of infertility, just being mad and jealous and not understanding. So it's just, finding, there's so much research out there that stress and anxiety does affect many aspects of your life, especially your fertility. And I suppose that's why people tell you just to relax so often.
Which makes people that are struggling to have a baby.
Yeah, right.
Trigger. I know. It's like, oh my goodness. I know. But yeah, so sleep, kind of those pillars, sleep, then looking at your non-toxic cleaning, chemicals, cleaning, and your personal care, plastics, and then meditation. I like that. So yeah, I haven't read that book, 10% Happier. Check that out. And then joy, focusing on the right now and putting gratitude out there. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a hard one to do. I mean, that's kind of the research on top of all the diet and nutrition I've done is reconnecting those brain connections. You have a lifetime of beating yourself up and negativity. So when something like infertility happens, because it's not this like actual car crash where people are like, oh my God, you got into a major accident. I'm so sorry for you. It's a very hidden, non-physical, in a sense, people can't see it thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really start, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? What's wrong with my body? So you start really beating yourself up, and then that just leads to, more destructive patterns, within your diet. It's one of the hardest things too that I had to do, because I feel like with food, you can just get out of the house, or you just don't go to McDonald's, or you just don't put those things into your life, where your thoughts, man, they're with you all the time.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's been a big part of the journey as well.
Yeah. So share you just shared a book with us, but is there any other, like a book or a website or an app or anything you'd like to recommend that you're just jamming with right now that you're loving?
Well, right now life is a little bit too complicated to really enjoy. I do love the Quote of the Day show by Sean Croxton. It's kind of the one thing I do get to listen to, because it's about anywhere from 7 minutes to 15 minutes of podcasts. You can listen to it while you drive to the grocery store, but I on my website, I have a resources page, and I've put all of kind of my top books, which include fertility and mindfulness. a lot of blog posts, very specific podcasts that I've listened to in the past, which I should probably update because I have listened to a few recently, a few diet programs and some meditation. One thing that I started with was the Circle and Bloom meditation, and that got me going. So there's so many great resources out there. And like we say, the Paleo Mom, that's who was kind of my support through my AIP journey.
Great.
Yeah, so I have a list over on the website that kind of breaks down everything that I've used.
So that's, fertilityhealthcoaching.com. Check out your list. And then, so the quote of the day podcast, find that on iTunes. Is that on iTunes?
Yeah, that's on iTunes. And that has absolutely nothing to do with fertility.
It's a nice quote of the day. I love a quote.
Yeah, it is literally just about self-belief and changing how you feel about yourself, setting goals, achieving in life. It's more of a very motivation. It's hosted by one guy, but he just gets quotes from all walks of life. I think he had Denzel Washington on there,
Nice.
so, but yeah, it's just that 10-minute pick me up, right? Okay. You're feeling down about life and you just go, all right, I can do this. So I think sometimes that's just what you need, no matter where you are in your journey. I have a beautiful boy. I have a natural pregnancy. And one thing that happened to me early on in this pregnancy is I had major anger issues. I got really mad that it took me so long to figure out my issue. Yeah, just figuring out my issue. I wasn't mad that it took me the time to correct it. But yeah, it was the weirdest thing to deal with because I should have been on cloud 9 the whole entire time. And then all of a sudden I was mad, and it was just like, man, I don't want anyone to feel this way ever. But so even when you look at me and say, okay, you have this success, you've done it, you're still going to deal with emotional issues that you didn't realize were going to bubble up.
They seep through the cracks every time you're pushing them down and not dealing with them. Oopsie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when you should be on cloud 9, and then when that kind of anger is just coming out, which is
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of personal development I still have to do. And I think most people who are amongst this community would say there's always room for improvement. You always have to keep striving. You always have to keep learning. There's always new research coming out. So you might think you have it dialed in, but it's always pushing yourself to just keep learning, keep yourself motivated to learn, and working on your emotions and your nutrition. It's a daily fight in a way. Most people don't want to have to put in the effort to live a healthy lifestyle, but once you do and see the benefits of it, and like you said, it doesn't become a big issue.
Yeah, just keep an open mind and feel what's feeling good for you, and listen to your body, and because your body is whispering to you, right? Then it starts to shout. Can you think of sorry, go ahead.
You just got to listen.
That's right. Can you think of a success story you'd like to share with us? Obviously yours. Maybe
I would say mine's the biggest so far.
Mm-hmm.
For me, the success, what I like to see in people other than natural pregnancies or even pregnancies through medical assistance, because some people do need support, is when they continue on and they get that there is a massive link through lifestyle and nutrition, and that they achieve their goal of getting pregnant, but now they're going to step up and push it further and give their baby the best chance. So there's a huge kind of studies going on now called epigenetics, and it's all about turning on and off genes. And so the hard work doesn't stop when you get pregnant. You keep going because you're going to start turning back on the genes that got turned off for you, and give your child the best opportunity until they're 15 years old and they decide that McDonald's is their food of choice. But so that's my success, is when I see people going, no, I'm going to change our lifestyle forever because our children deserve better than what we had. And we now have the knowledge as parents. We can't blame our parents because they didn't really have the knowledge. So yeah, that for me is success, when you want to do what you know is right for your child, and not kind of put your head in the sand and go, oh, well, people just have healthy babies and are able to just eat like crap. So
yeah, that's the case for some people, but
yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not saying you can't
and
have a healthy baby and eat McDonald's every day. I'm not saying that at all, but
so yeah, that comparison thing, right? And then yeah, the epigenetics thing where it affects your health, your children's health, and then like you said, your grandchildren. It's a whole your future generations. That's why this stuff is so important. It can be a little overwhelming. So it's like do one thing every day, and just at the end of the day, just show yourself some love.
yeah.
Give yourself the love.
And there's I heard on a podcast once that really kind of blew my mind, is that when you were an egg, so when you were already a kind of a life form, you were in your grandmother. So when your mother was in your grandmother's room, women are born with all their eggs. So you were already getting your genetic code put together. So it's incredibly important, those 9 months of pregnancy. And I'm not saying you have to be perfect and golden and every little thing is going to affect the baby, but on the whole, for long-term health, it is really important to put in the same principles that you learned trying to get pregnant into your pregnancy.
Absolutely. Yeah, to help with your potentially postpartum issues and things, and your children's health too. It's very important because we get so focused on the preconception side of it, and then
Yes.
running off to a fertility clinic, which, some people are successful. I had both my children with donor eggs. Other people don't. And it's, there's other health issues that happen when you're not addressing the underlying cause of this.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So you've got a free gift, like I said, discount code that you can offer. You have a Mindful Me journal. So it's your Baby and Me series. And the coupon code for that is 5OFFGPN. And you can find it at mymindful.com, and I'll put the link in the show notes. And if you could just share what exactly the Mindful Me journal is.
Yeah, so Mindful Me is a company I started with a friend of mine who's actually going through fertility issues herself. And I actually just started doing a makeshift journal for myself to just keep myself positive, try to, keep that flow of positivity going, and to record my journey a little bit more in depth. And this happened right before my last frozen embryo transfer. And so I was setting this up and using it. And I use it obviously when I got my positive pregnancy test, and I used it when I went through my miscarriage. And I just started seeing the value of an everyday, at the end of the day, just think of something positive of your day. Because especially during the infertility, you could really just focus on all the negatives and what you don't have. So a friend and I got together and we designed it, produced it, and are just, now trying to bring it to the community and help support other women to just find the joy in the now, which during infertility is very hard to do. So there's space to just draw a few lines down. You answer a prompt or a question, and then you document whether you're doing a natural cycle, IUI cycle, IVF, frozen embryo. You can take it into your pregnancy, and you can use it during adoption. You can use it if you're doing any kind of sperm or egg donation or a surrogate. So it's really set up for anyone who is in their fertile years to use their space to write how you feel, your medications, your vitamins, notes, and just keep a really good record of your years trying to conceive. Because as much as you think I would never ever forget something, you actually forget quite a lot. Mm-hmm. So it's a really good reference too. As many as of us find one IVF journal that are out there, there's some great ones out there, just isn't going to work. We go through multiple rounds of IVFs or frozen embryo transfers. So it's a great way to look back, remember how you feel or how you felt, maybe what you would do differently next time. So that's the journal. So we're really excited about it. And I just regret not having it for the last 9 years. But it's here, and it's going to be a great resource for a lot of women out there.
Love it. So Mindful Me Journal. So check it out at mymindfulme.com and you get that $5 off. So 5OFF. So it's Get Pregnant Naturally GPN. So
yeah, and that's all uppercase.
Uppercase.
And we're going to run that promotion to the end of the year for everyone.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us and being on the podcast today. It was awesome chatting about nutrition and diet, one of my favorite topics. And have yourself a fabulous day, everyone. Hey there, Sarah Clark here. So are you struggling to have your baby? First of all, please know that my heart goes out to you. I support couples worldwide who are struggling with infertility to conceive and have healthy babies. Women like Rita, who gave birth to her beautiful daughter after following my fertility coaching system. Or Danielle, who after 2 failed IUIs was able to get pregnant after a supercharger fertility discovery call with me. So here's how you get my help for free. So I offer a free supercharger fertility discovery call. And on that call, I'll create a plan with you that is going to help you fast track your success. So this call is not for everyone. And I'm really picky about who I get to speak with. And I have a strict but totally reasonable criteria that needs to be met in order for us to move forward. So here's who I can help. So first of all, you need to be able to explore your infertility diagnosis in a new light. So this offers for people who are open-minded, they're coachable, and if you can do that and want to double or triple your chances at the fertility clinic or get pregnant, awesome. So let's get on the phone and chat. Also, you must be an action taker. So someone who's committed to seeing results, you're able to follow directions. Don't worry, I'm not going to ask you to do anything bizarre. But if you're one of those people who like to consume a ton of information, but don't like to spend time implementing and seeing results, then the call's not really for you. So I only want to spend time with people who are genuinely committed to their own success. So just click on the link in the show notes and apply, or go to fabfertile.com and click on the free consult. So it's a really short application that just tells you about your health, how long you've been trying to conceive, and how soon you'd like to be pregnant. So seriously, this is going to be the best time you've ever spent on your fertility. Looking forward to chatting. Talk soon. Thank you for listening to Get Pregnant Naturally. Seriously, it means the world to me that you're here. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be notified of upcoming episodes. I'm excited to offer you a special gift. If you are a U.S. resident, text FERTILE, FERTILE, to 345345. You'll be prompted to enter your email address and you will receive our 3-day free fertility diet challenge. The challenge includes delicious chef-prepared recipes that are specifically designed to enhance your fertility. Download the recipes and try them this weekend. For U.S. residents, text FERTILE, FERTILE, to 345345. For non-U.S. residents, go to www.fertilitydietfreebie.com to access your special gift. That is Fertility Diet Freebie, FERTILITY, diet, DIET, freebie, FREEBIE.com to access the 3-day free fertility diet challenge. And I love this quote by Dr. Mark Hyman. He's the medical director of the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine and the chairman of the Institute for Functional Medicine. What you find at the end of your fork is more powerful than anything you'll find at the bottom of a pill bottle. Thanks again for listening. Until next time.